But just imagine that scenario that Dan's talking about and the Bills not taking a receiver. My thought was
you would be losing
a couple of
your
those
mind.
guys could be gone, including Concepcion.
Now, from the Connors and Ferris podcast studio, this is the Buffalo Plus podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus podcast. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We are here in the Connors and Ferris podcast studio. Today, we will be doing our mock drafts, going round by round, the picks that we have for the Bills to take as the 2026 NFL draft is just about a week away. And Michael, we're going to get to our draft in a moment, but you have some big shows, I should say, coming up.
Well, let's start with the one we're going to do on Wednesday. So this will be Wednesday, the 22nd of April. It's the night before the draft, brought to you by White Claw. We'll be doing it live from here in the Connors and Ferris podcast studio. This is when we want to react with you. We want your comments, who you think they should pick. We're giving our mock drafts now, but we always reserve the right to change. You never know what's going to happen, right? Yes, we could change.
Oh, Dan.
But we want to have this. We want to have a little fun. We want to do it on Wednesday because it gives everybody a little chance, because once Thursday gets started, everybody's trying to stay ready until pick 26 or whatever the Bills do. So that Wednesday. And then again, we're going to do the wrap up, also brought to you by White Claw, on that Saturday evening. That's not going to be live. We're going to wrap it up that night. You'll have all weekend to slip away from whatever the family's doing and listen to your friends at Buffalo Plus.
Love it.
That's why he's a pro.
Yeah.
Before this, it was like, hey, Mike, I'm going to come to you first. And you give us all the info.
Yeah.
Well done.
So we'll have a bunch of shows, though. It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you tune into Buffalo Plus for all your draft coverage, as well as, again, like, comment, subscribe, and share. We really appreciate it. So we're doing our mocks today. And before we get into it, what do you want to say?
Mike and I are matching.
I know. I noticed that today.
Are you?
Yeah. Usually, sometimes we talk about it and say, usually it's more like a jacket. And we both went with the black, with the white. I have black pants. You have gray pants.
Yeah. But we both.
It's very cute.
It feels like stepbrothers again when we were at the combine. They just had one of those moments again.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to get into our picks for this mock draft. But before we do, I think it's important to kind of set up the context. So I feel like you can go a couple different ways. You can draft from the point of view of the Bills, or you can do what your picks for Buffalo would be, or you can kind of do a combo of that. Mike, what was your draft philosophy as you looked at this?
Well, I've been good at this.
So
the reason I say is I'm going to pick the way I would do it.
Okay.
Right? Left to what they have for resources. I can't just create that they have, I don't know, a second round pick for this year, because I've barely harped on that.
If I wanted to, I would just say, well, trade next year's third to get this year's second, or next year's first. I would have weaseled my way if I wanted to be.
If you wanted to do it.
Do it that way.
Full on troll.
I know.
You know what is one of the things that I think we forget about? But when I was doing my mock and putting it together, trying to get trade back up into the second round, I really wanted the Bills to be able to do that. When I'm looking at my mock, it's like, it takes a lot of points. And you think some of those picks in the later rounds, you're like, oh, if you package them up and you do this, and it's like, the difference between the top two rounds to essentially 4, 5, and 6, the drop off is pretty dramatic in terms of the point system. So you have to put a lot of resources in to move up. And I think sometimes it's something you're like, oh, we'll just trade up and do that. Yeah. And it's like, it takes capital to do it.
Especially when you look at the draft as, let's just say the beginning as 100 picks, the top 100, because we tend to think, oh, early in the second round, okay, it's 33.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bills are picking 26th. That's why we always think about this. Moving a few spots in a round is one thing. It feels different, especially first round to second round, because it's not just first round. It's Friday, you're Thursday or Friday. So yeah, I agree with you on that. And it's finding that partner that makes sense for both teams. And why would they do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no trades. No moves in mind.
That's fair. What was your philosophy when you were putting it together?
They're big needs that we've kind of addressed, and those are how I view them, because I think there always ends up being maybe one or two positions that they see a focus on, and that's also thinking down the line. Like I tried to shoehorn a safety in and things like that, but it's also the immediacy of this year. And I'm with you, Jenna. At times, mock drafts are tough. Like we are guessing, and I'm curious if any of us have the same player because of the randomness of it, the variety of it.
The variance this year and where
that was the word I was looking for.
Where prospects are being projected feels even more wide than in years past.
100%. This year, there's always a little bit of pushback. Part of the reason is in this draft, okay, everybody believes quarterbacks go on 1. And then it's the Wild West from that point on. And there's teams low in the draft that keep hinting, we'll trade back. Because I think there's a lot of, sometimes there's a little groupthink there, but sometimes there's just not that player that sits out there as 2, 3, 4, 5. And so teams go, okay, what are you going to give me? And they still want the value of trading the second pick in the draft, but it's different. And it's the fact that there's limited quarterbacks.
I was going to say, the quarterbacks is what makes it so different. I think this year, the lack of quarterbacks, the lack of like really thought of like top end talent and just the surplus, it feels like, of depth makes it so that I feel like this could be a draft where you see the projections and you see what actually happens, and there's a difference between the two.
Exactly. And Mike, nailed it, because I thought about the quarterbacks. The thought of wanting to trade back is great, but are you really going to trade up into late first round, into the Bills spot at 26 to get a safety? Like, are you really doing that? Because I think they talk so much about the depth in this safety class. But if there's so much depth, why do you feel the need, or why should teams feel the need to then jump up and spend more draft capital to get somebody in the first round that they could get in the second or third round? So like, that's where this year feels very strange, because I think Ty Simpson will go in the first round, but I don't know where.
Yeah.
And there aren't going to be 5-6 quarterbacks going in the first round, which usually kind of frames a draft. And because of that, it just feels like it can go a million different directions.
And I also, try to put yourself in the mindset of Brandon Beane in this case, right? So you're saying safety is a fascinating position. It's a pretty deep draft in safeties, right? Mm-hmm. The Bills have penciled in the starters, right? Well, I think Cole Bishop is a starter, and obviously Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is considered the other starter. They brought him in for this year. I think when you're in this draft, if it falls to you, if that guy is rated that high, absolutely you could take a safety. Like this idea sometimes that it's like, and I know you're drafting for need. Everybody tries to say they don't, but you kind of are. But at the same time, if you feel like, wow, this kid fell to us as a safety, we can get him in our system. We can find a way to get him on the field, and he's going to be a starter. We feel like going forward in a year, you'll have no problem doing that. But if they come out of the draft without that safety and address the other things, I think you'll still feel like if it was there, I know it might be considered a year early, but we're taking them.
Yeah.
It's the way you need to look at it. It's like you mentioned other positions. There's like, running back. Like, are you desperate? No. But if a player was really high on your board and he's sitting there, you have to judge whether it makes sense or to go what you consider more of a need, an immediate need.
But maybe a player that you don't have is ranked as highly.
Right.
Yeah. There's the push and shove that goes between those two. All right. So let's go to our first round. So no trades for you. Did you have a trade? Or you
Not
stayed
in the
put?
first round. And believe me, I'm with you. I looked at it.
I did too.
And I was like, I don't think this works. And I didn't feel like I looked at the Cardinals if they were going to get Ty Simpson. And actually, I heard Jeremy White say it today. Like, if you're the Cardinals, you might be the only one that wants to trade up to get a quarterback there. You know what I mean? Like, are you trading into the first round and giving up assets for this fifth-year option that we always talk about with quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Because I think that world has changed too, where you're like, I'll know by the fifth year. You'll know by the third year whether this quarterback can play. So I didn't make a trade. I just went with Malachi Lawrence,
Oh,
Central Florida.
Okay.
Pass rusher, edge.
Got it.
To me, looking at where they're picking, it's a need. It is a guy with a skill set that I don't really think they have on the edge. And I think he can play the run. This team needs to be better against the run, but they really need to get to the quarterback. I think that's what this guy does. So I have Malachi Lawrence of Central Florida going to the Bills at 26.
Okay. Do you want to go next or do you want me to?
You can go.
Okay. So looking at my mock, originally I had them picking Casey Concepcion. But when I looked at it, I was like, it just isn't as deep of a need at wide receiver as it is for other positions. And the way I looked at it was, if I'm Jim Leonhard, you brought me in, you want to change the defense.
Right.
And what do you do? What's the first thing you build when you're building a house? It's you build the foundation. And for me, that is why I have the Bills picking Caden McDonald, the defensive tackle out of Ohio State. 6'3", 326, was All-American last year, Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Year, first team All-Big Ten in 2025. The dude is described as a human-sized roadblock. He's a throwback nose tackle, talented run defender. And I just think for the Bills, it's like he is someone that you can work your defense around. We know that this is going to be looking different. So it's like, why don't you have the piece that, and look, I get it. It's not like the sexiest pick ever, but I think that this is a draft where the Bills reworking their defense. It's not just reworking, you're completely revamping this defense. So you need to go more meat and potatoes, even if it's not as sizzly of a pick, spicy as a pick.
Can I ask you guys this? Because I looked at him too. And I thought to myself, the Bills have addressed, it's not that specific physical space that he takes up. They have drafted Dwayne Carter in the 3rd round. Last year, Deion Walker and TJ Sanders. They got limited but good play out of Deion Walker. Pretty decent amount.
I would say good play.
TJ Sanders, pretty limited the amount he played. And they've got nothing out of Dwayne Carter yet. Do you think they believe defensive tackle is a priority in this system? I'm not saying that that's a bad pick, because they may very well be sitting there going, we need that dude in the middle. But they have used 3. They've used a 2, a 3, and a 4, right? On defensive tackles.
I'm with Jenna. I think they view it as they need to get better against the run.
Yeah.
I think that's, however that is.
That was one of the first things that Jim Leonhard said.
Like, they have to be better against the run. And so that I agree with you 100% that if they do go D-line, I think that's more of an immediate need of being better against the run, more stout up the middle. I think that makes a lot of sense.
I definitely hear what you're saying as
Dan,
well.
that's like you saying fix the run game, not the pass game. I want to get to the quarterback. They don't get to the quarterback enough. They need more guys who can get to the quarterback.
That's totally fair. But I also think that they've been able to
guy that's supposed to get to the quarterback.
I mean, besides Greg Rousseau.
Oh, okay. So
friend of the pod, Greg
right,
Rousseau.
friend of the pod. So he needs some help.
I like Malachi Lawrence as well.
Yeah.
I do think that if I'm Bean though, I want to give Jim Leonhard a guy that he's like, this is my guy. Like I think about when it was Sean McDermott, obviously how important the secondary was, him drafting Trey White as his first pick. Like, I think when you're a new defensive guy, it's like, hey, I want my person that I know that I can build my defense around.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you got?
Wide receiver.
Which wide receiver?
Denzel Boston.
I really think that they'll have an option for 3 wide receivers will be on the board.
I think you're right.
I don't think that's crazy.
I think they will have an option between Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion, and Omar Cooper Jr.
Who do you go with?
I would like them to go with Denzel Boston. I'm going to stick to it. It's who I've liked. The ability to beat man coverage. And I understand all of these things that we've talked about on defense and revamping the defense. But I don't want to feel naive to what the offense was last year, where it is. And Jenna, you were making the point, I think a podcast or two ago, of like the clock's ticking. And I wonder where teams view the Bills as Josh Allen. That is how they view the Buffalo Bills. And they have never given him a top first round wide receiver. And whether or not that is the moving on from Sean McDermott and a change in culture and Joe Brady becoming the man in charge, if that is what is finally the straw that pushes them and gets them there, I would be happy with any of those three. I think all three will be on the board. I think I would like them in my mock draft. I have them going with Denzel Boston.
Okay.
It's kind of wild to think that those three could be on the board because you see a lot of stuff.
I've also seen Omar Cooper Jr. going like 15 to the Jets.
Yeah.
Like,
again, the swath of like where players are going.
Very good.
You can spell that.
SWATCH. SWAT.
It's where did you get the C from?
I thought that was a layup.
Hang
there
on.
is no layups
Hang on,
when
hang
it
on.
comes to Dan
Oh
and
my
Spence.
gosh.
WATH.
H.
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 F.
SWAT.
How do you exist?
Oh my God.
Okay.
But you know what complicates it a little bit, the wide receiver thing is I think the Rams picked 13th because they have that extra pick. They could be just sitting there going, we got Matthew Stafford. We don't know what's going on with Puka. Like one of these guys could go early and then it starts to go fast. But just imagine that scenario that Dan's talking about and the Bills not taking a receiver. My thought was
you would be losing
a couple of
your
those guys
mind.
could be gone, including Concepcion. This is also the point I want to make. Concepcion can play on the outside and all. I think he can be a devastating player in the slot.
Yeah.
This is where I go back to my Khalil Shakir conversation.
My Khalil Shakir conversation.
Either way, explain
Our
it.
Khalil Shakir conversation.
Mine.
The idea of saying the rose right there, the thorns right here. Where I go back to saying, is he good enough to keep you from going for that player? Listen, you can make it work. I think Concepcion's really talented.
They don't have anybody like Denzel Boston.
No.
That's
They just don't have it. And
I'm not disagreeing with you on Boston. I'm just saying is if the receivers start going fast.
This is what Mike does. I drafted how I want them to draft. I also realized looking through this, I don't think I have an edge.
Well, you don't have to have an edge.
I'm sitting there and I'm
do
like,
you need that in football?
and I'm sitting there trying to like pretzel my way into being like,
well, you have 6 wide receivers.
I
Yes.
don't. I have 2. I have
Okay.
2.
All right. So that, hey,
I
listen,
may have 3 linebackers.
I would say of these
It's
3
really
picks,
funny.
I love all 3 of them in a sense of, I think each one of them is important. To your point, Jenna, it is funny to think about them as wide receiver and not being like priority 1. It's like 3 maybe on the priority list of what you would think they need, but it's a long-term. And when I say long-term, I mean like next year and the year after.
Well,
it's
that's
a priority.
And I guess that's where I understand the big change this offseason was on the defensive side and the feeling of revamping it and turning the leaf and bringing in Jim Leonhard and all of these things. And I just feel like we've lost a little bit of like, and I get it. And we've talked about this before and the EPA and all of this stuff. This offense struggled to complete passes down the field. And for as bad as they were against defense, they still had chances and they were throwing the ball to Brandon Cooks in spots.
Yeah.
Like I still just looked at it and I go, screw it, outscore some teams. And that's where I'm looking and I go, at what point do you finally say, and we did the podcast before about, do you trade back? Do you trade up? Do you go all in? At some point you have to push some chips in and go, this is the time that we make a move at wide receiver and give Josh Allen what we think is the guy. And for whatever you want to say about Keon Coleman, you still traded back twice. So you didn't love him so much to just take him where you were.
Well, your point is this falls to them in that scenario.
Yes.
That'd be great. Being great. And then, I mean, Concepcion came in for a visit. I think Cooper.
I knew that Concepcion was a top 30 visit. And I think they met with Boston. I know at the combine.
But it would be very interesting if they were put in that spot.
So that was the other thing too, is that's a big reading the
part. If they have 3 receivers sitting there,
they will
they trade back. I know people are going to be mad. And if there's 3 of them sitting
and
there.
those people are
if
Dan
Denzel
fans.
Boston was the only one that we think of sitting there, and for whatever reason they don't think he's a fit, then that makes sense.
But I would get why, because you're like, well, there's still 3 of the top guys on the board. There's going to be more depth later on. Like, I get why you could make the argument to
I
trade
just
back.
want him to love a receiver. That
Yeah.
they say, I love him. I'm taking him.
Yeah.
Not trading back. Anyhow.
I'm still just team wide receiver. I'm still just team offense. I'm still just.
Does anybody have a trade now post first round?
They did meet with Malachi Lawrence at the combine as well. I don't know if you had
Yeah.
that, but I had a 3rd round trade.
I have a 3rd round trade too, because they're not in the 2nd round, as I've mentioned 100
Correct.
times.
What do you
DJ
have?
Moore.
So here's where I had him making a move. I have them moving up from 91
Mm-hmm.
to 71
Oh, okay.
with Washington. And the reason I had them making that move, they're giving up 126
Oh,
and a 2027 6th round pick, which I was kind of reading in the way the league looks at those picks. They actually look at them as it be more like a 5th
Okay.
because you're waiting a year for the player. This is if this guy is on the board, and he could go earlier than this, but there's a reason why he slips back. Louisville wide receiver Chris Bell. I have him getting him because he's available. The New Orleans Saints pick, I think, 73rd.
Okay.
They have been mocked to him. This is where Bean goes, I got my pass rusher. I want another receiver. I'm going to give up some assets, and I'm going to move up.
So
and
you
get
gave
ahead
up
of
91, 126, and
a 6th
No,
round.
yeah, well, they give up the 91, obviously, and then
Right.
126 and a 27
Okay.
6th rounder.
So you're not concerned about the ACL tear.
Well, I think that's why you're getting him where you're getting him. And then I say to myself, I look at him at wide receiver, and I say, it is not day one, he's got to be starter on the field. But I love that he plays on the outside. I love his speed. And I'm taking a shot at getting a player, a distressed asset of a player because of his injury that I think, and he's a dog. He is a dog.
6'2", 220.
He plays that way. A little fired up sometimes. I just think he's a player they would love.
Mhm.
And I think he fits what they need in offense. And if he was healthy, he's a 1st round pick.
Big physical target.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
what's your trade?
So I traded with Minnesota to move from 91 to 82.
Okay.
So I traded 91, 168, and 182.
Okay.
So I have them picking linebacker Josiah Trotter
Love
out of
him.
Missouri. Top 30 visit with the Bills, met with Buffalo at the combine. 6'2", 237.
Good pick, Jenna.
First team all SEC in 2025. Big 12 defensive freshman of the year in 2024. Now, he did have a knee injury in 2025, minor surgery, and he missed 2023 with an ACL. But talk about lineage. I mean, I know you're obviously an Eagles guy, son of Jeremiah Trotter, 4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro linebacker. Older brother won a Super Bowl with the Eagles as well.
The axe man. That was Jeremiah Trotter. He get a sack, does that like the axe into the ground. This kid's that will be having that when he's making plays.
Physicality, shows up immediately, guy to set the tone, stop the run, instinctual, which I love instinctual.
Yep.
Because I've seen so many players that have all the physical attributes. And I honestly think of a guy like Tremaine Edmonds,
Yep.
who you think like his skill set in terms of what he can be as an athlete, jump off this chart. But I think when you have to take that little second to think about stuff in the NFL, you're that much behind, and that can impact your play. So I think instinctual is a big point of emphasis for me when I look at a player. I like a couple things. I like awards. I like for players to be exceptional at the college game and be awarded an honor because of it.
Yeah.
And I like instinctual.
Love the pick.
Love the pick.
Okay.
I stayed put at 91. And now looking back on it, you guys were so much smarter. You guys had
Doesn't
to do
it
less.
feel like the Grand Canyon between
Yes.
26 and
Yes.
91?
Yeah.
It's going to
Yes.
hurt.
But you guys were
all
also
those picks. Are gonna happen.
you guys are just smarter because you had to look up less players by trading away picks. That I'm envious of what you guys did. But at 91, I have them taking Dominique Big Citrus Orange.
Oh, that's so good.
Dominique Orange, defensive tackle, Iowa State.
Yeah.
Big dude. His name is Big Citrus. 6'3",
Oh,
325. Has done a top 30 visit with the Bills. he is a run stopper. Like that is what he does. So really like the fact of, okay, you get your wide receiver, you improve your offense, then you get that cornerstone. It's like having the catcher on your baseball team. You build defensively from home plate up the middle. So I thought that he fits that. The size, he's not like Deion Walker, who's much more shifty, but he's been able to eat blocks, run stopper. That's what he does. So I like to get that defensive tackle in round 2.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Round
Big-
3.
Round
Yes.
3,
Yeah,
big citrus.
that's nice.
Love the
name.
nickname.
Love the
I was gonna
nickname.
say, one of the guys just talking about another cool nickname that's a defensive tackle is Dante Corleone
Oh,
of
so good. The
Cincinnati.
Godfather.
The
right?
Mafia, yeah, but I'm like the Mafia, Bill's Mafia getting a
that
Dante
would be good.
Corleone would
That
be
would be good.
awesome.
That's good.
Defensive tackle 6'1", 335. Nickname the Godfather. Squatty rundown defender. He did have blood clots though, so that might be
Okay. All right.
something to look into. But I, in terms of the nickname, love it. Okay, do you want to go to your next pick?
Well, mine's a little ways because I made a trade. So
So I still have 126.
I still have 126 as
All
well.
right. Who's your
You're gonna like this, I think. So in the 4th round at 126 overall, okay, I had too good a posture there.
Yeah.
I am taking wide receiver Malik Benson out of Oregon.
visited them.
visit?
Did visit them. 6 foot, 195. And not to take your line, but he's really fast. Fast 8. Former track star, exceptional ball tracker, played at 4 different programs, produced at each spot, fast, dependable, constructs the field, and adds punt return potential.
Can I just say, again, we talk about variance. I had him considerably later. Now,
See, this is what sucks.
well, it does
Yeah.
because he could also, all it is the
you
team
had him
just-
that much. What?
I had him at 182.
Wow. Okay.
But it's so many players. You try to get a gauge on what people around the league are saying, and
Yeah.
you go, he was in some mocks, he's the 2nd round, and
Yeah.
some he's it's like
Yeah.
everybody's got their own opinion. This is the type of player that I think there would be a bit of a difference of opinion around the league, but he was highly productive, as you said,
Yes.
and that speed. So
And went to JUCO.
yes,
126 for me, as I originally put in a linebacker here, Caleb Elarms Orr from TCU.
okay.
But in a dream world, I get my safety here in the 4th round. And again, this goes back to that variance of if he's there and things like that. Jalen Kilgore from South Carolina. So he's that Safrid. I just
Maybe.
short circuited there for a second.
Sacred?
Safety, big nickel hybrid.
Ah,
Okay.
okay, yeah.
So that came out as Safrid. So, but he is seen as a dynamic. He's rounds 2 to 3. So does he fall that far into the 4th? Possibility. That'd be my dream spot. What?
Hoping
He's-
one hand.
You're just hoping if he's there. It's just like
Yeah,
when I made my trade, it was for a
You
guy.
drafted a guy way too early.
No,
it wasn't.
There
I
were
think
people
Mike
picking-
was. I was gonna say.
I might be a little late on
I was
that.
gonna
But
say.
like when I'm
In
making
the
that deal,
5th round, the Bills select KC Concepcion.
well, when I'm making the deal for Chris Bell,
So I have to deal
I'm
with.
giving up those assets because that guy's on the board.
Yeah.
Somebody may
Yes.
have the same idea and say we're taking him in the 2nd round. So we won't kill you for that, Dan.
Hate my mock draft. Just gonna be honest. I like my first 2 picks. Like my first 2 picks a lot.
You realize it's really like mock drafts are really tough.
Yeah.
You're just throwing darts.
Well,
It
not
is.
even that, but it's like you look at players, how they would fit, where they are expected to fall, and every guy has weaknesses.
Yeah.
Like that's just a piece of the game. So it's like, what can you live with? What do you want to pivot to? Does his upside outweigh that? Like, especially when you get back in these later rounds, it's really hard to decipher because the ceilings feel about the same, and it's like, but just how low is the floor? You're not
Yeah.
really sure.
And I always go back to this. Take all the GMs together. Put every player in the NFL in a draft, current players, and start picking. You won't know how the draft will go. And these are players we know and we have seen.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
you could guess, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes are going to, they'll go early. But if you just start drafting, you're like, who wants that interior pressure? Who wants Jalen Carter
Mhm.
early? Who wants, Max Crosby. The only reason I say this is that's with players we've all seen and we all know.
Who wants the Patrick Surtain,
right?
Where shutdown corner.
Exactly.
Yep.
So
good point.
When you look at this and teams come at it from different places, it is positions of need and all. So when we're looking at a player, like I have him at 182, you have him at 126. Okay, so we're talking about 60 picks here almost. But this is in the 4th round
Correct.
to the 6th round.
Yeah,
I mean, so there's so many players.
I was just defensive because you guys made fun of me for.
That's all right. We have a reason.
You were just defensive or offensive?
No, he was.
It was defensive.
You said offensive.
I said defensive.
He said defensive.
Check the tape. Check the tape. I was just defensive.
Players.
I was just defensive.
I was just defensive.
I'm pretty sure.
Marking this down.
So that was 126. Okay.
Okay, where are you at?
I'm at 165 and 168.
Okay.
That's where I am.
165. The Buffalo Bills select cornerback out of the University of Washington, Ephesians Prysock.
That's a cool name.
That's a cool name.
That high.
I will never be able to spell that right.
The reason I went with this player, I think the Bills did meet with him.
I will look it up.
Couple of things that are big positives for him. He's got the traits, the physical traits. He's 6'4", nearly 200 pounds, long arms. He has the traits of a high-end corner, if you want that type, physical traits.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he started 42 games in college football.
Love that.
On the field, didn't get hurt, over 3 seasons, started. So I think when you're drafting there, now we're talking about 165 picks into the draft.
I don't think he met with the Bills.
He didn't meet, but that's fine. He should have. I look at it and say, are we going for some traits? Are we looking at it and saying he ends up being a backup, special teams kind of guy, can fill in when we need him, and eventually maybe he evolves into it because he has the physical ability to it.
Yeah, at this point, 2 things. The visits are big. We talk about whether it's a Zoom, whether it's a private workout, all these things, whether it's a player puts it on his Instagram story that he visited with the team, right? Like the team doesn't announce like we had this guy come and visit. There's got to be some gamesmanship that if you love a player and you bring him in or don't bring him in, you're probably also having the conversations on the side of, hey, we Zoomed with him. Oh, well, they only had a Zoom, but he met with this team and this team and this team. But like you wouldn't want to meet with him at not saying you wouldn't, but if you meet with him at the combine, you bring him in for a private workout, you bring him in for a top 30, you Zoom with him. Doesn't that tip your hand a little bit? That if you really like somebody, it's just, hey, we met with you. We trust our scouts and what we saw.
This is why I go back to Dalton Kincaid. He didn't meet with the Bills. He didn't have a top 30 visit. He had injuries in college. And they went with him. Now, do they like the player? Sure, they like the player. He was the one that was a little different. Look, you have a lot of chances to meet with players. Some teams are big on the Senior Bowl.
Senior Bowl, that's good to say.
Some teams are big on the in-person. We know the combine is fish in a barrel there. All the players are right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can meet with anybody. If you just want it on the record, met with them at the combine, it's pretty easy right there. When you're bringing them in, it's a little different. You only have 30 of those. In addition, you have the local players and all. I do think there's a little gamesmanship.
That's what I was just wondering.
Out there.
Of just, you think about it, it's
fair.
like, hey,
but when you're picking 26th, some of that, like, because there's so much you have to wait to see what happens here. I guess if you're picking in the top 10, you'd want to have had as much information as possible. But it's a little different in terms of other teams. No, I think it plays into it.
But a lot of the top 30 visits are not first-round graded players.
No doubt.
Correct.
Right.
That's why I hear Dan's point. I'm like, that does make sense that you want to have meetings with the player and see them and interact with them, but you don't want to do too much because
that tips your hand.
It could tip your hand.
Yeah.
But also there's
it's
so
also how
much,
comfortable you are with them.
There's also players.
If you like the player at the Senior Bowl, but you're going, there's still a couple of things we want to figure out. We want to talk to him in person.
Because maybe you weren't in on him.
Mm-hmm.
You had never met with him.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Just
and
something
all of a sudden he pops a little bit or drops in one way or the other.
Yeah.
Like for whatever the consensus is. So
Yeah.
Are you
What do
at
you got?
165?
I went with safety, Michael Taffy of Texas. I talked about him in our last video. Love him. First team All SEC in 2025, All American in 2025, was a walk on at Texas, 5th generation Longhorn.
Oh yeah.
Coverage safety, really good one. Great instincts, first team All SEC. I think he could be a hidden gem in this draft.
Ooh.
wow.
Yeah.
Calling her shot.
Yeah.
Boom.
So when he goes somewhere and does really well, Jen's gonna be like, that's my Mike
1000%.
Catalana.
1000%. Although I would say mine would be more challenging because it wasn't a first round pick. Yeah.
You mean like when I say
Kyle
they've taken
Hamilton?
Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
And he went
14th.
14th. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Bills
Yeah.
didn't pick 14th that year.
They haven't
Yeah.
done that in a while.
So my 2 5th-round picks, because it's one, like we said, 165 and 168. I'll just knock them both out
Go
because
ahead.
they're both linebackers. Hey,
I may be with you on one
Jay,
of them.
he's got to double up. Jimmy Rolder from Michigan,
Okay.
another veteran guy that's played a lot of snaps, instincts, all of that stuff. And then at 168, or you can flip him, Alabama linebacker,
No.
Justin Jefferson.
I love that. I saw that.
I
wanted
saw that, and
Is
I was
that-
like, the Bills get
Get
Justin
Justin
Jefferson.
Jefferson. Yeah.
So I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
And I go, I've seen some people when you try and find like the 5-round mock drafts. I saw a couple people had Justin Jefferson, linebacker from Alabama. So
Yeah. No,
Who
I
you-
did see him.
Who you got at 168, and then I'll do my.
I traded mine to
Oh, you traded
Minnesota.
it.
Yeah.
I have linebacker,
Wow.
University of Buffalo,
Oh,
Red
Red
Murdoch.
Murdoch.
turnover machine, forced 17.
Maction.
how many?
What?
How many UB linebackers can one NFL team have?
How many do they have?
They have
Joe Andreessen.
Joe Andreessen.
Well, Joe Andreessen's
Yeah.
been, it's been good for that.
Good special teams.
Right.
Yeah.
Special teamer.
This guy
Can't
had
talk.
Red had 17 forced fumbles.
That's
That's nuts.
absurd.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yes.
I love that.
Turnover guy, 17. UB's been good to the Bills.
Yes. And at this point, it was
Jamarcus,
funny. You were
They
talking
lost Jamarcus
Cam Lewis.
and Cam.
Yeah.
They need to replenish the UB.
when you were talking about that guy that trade Ephesians.
Yeah.
Like at this point, whether you're in rounds 4 through 7, you're looking to like fill the role of like a Jamarcus Ingram. That's what you're trying to find. Now, if you end up with a starting corner in this spot in the 5th or 6th round, that's so much extra cherry on top. But you're looking for guys that can have a couple of traits. So if you're talking about the Ephesians guy, like the size that he has, can't teach it. And if you can teach the other traits that go along with it, I like that idea too. So
Okay, so you did 168.
yeah, that was Justin
And,
Jefferson.
okay, you did that as well. So are we now 7th round?
6th round, 182.
Oh, I traded that too.
I had Benson. That's where I had him. I think I took him a little late, but
Okay, Malik Benson, the wide receiver out
Yep.
of Oregon.
And I took, this was also, Mike, you'll appreciate this. Got a Toledo Rocket.
love it.
Oh, who'd you take? Andre Fuller?
Andre Fuller.
I took him
corner.
in the 7th
I had,
round.
I had Andre Fuller, and I think he did meet with the Bills.
He did top 30 visit
Yeah.
and a private workout with Buffalo.
Yep.
So that seems notable as well.
Good size. I think he's like 6'1", 6'2".
6'1", 200 pounds,
Yep.
first team All MAC, special teams value.
Yep.
Prototypical size,
I like it.
legitimate speed, and a brand of press man physicality that coaches really like on paper. So
Jenna Kuiper just with like the notebook
know.
of stats.
I'm
You're
trying.
just
honestly
locked
shout
and
out
loaded.
like NFL Buzz. I want to cite my sources. Lance Zierlein, Dane Brugler of The Athletic for some really good stuff. It makes it more fun, honestly.
yeah, it's not my favorite.
Okay.
No. Michael,
Jenna, thank you for doing the research.
Yeah, my back hurts
Yeah,
actually.
carrying him.
Yeah. What did I say today too? We decided we were going to do our mocks today. And Dan was like, "Oh, I need to still put mine together." And I was like, "Oh, so you need names. Look at that."
Do I have 220? Did anybody trade 220?
I got
No,
220.
I took Andre
220,
Fuller at 220.
221, whatever it takes. Mr. Mom.
Yeah,
Great
you've like
movie.
said that and
It's
every time
so
I look
good.
at you, but
Yeah. Michael Keaton.
yeah.
I'm Batman.
Did a story with Michael Keaton. I know Michael Keaton.
Yes, you do.
How about
cool.
that?
Does he
Name's
remember?
also not Michael Keaton.
It's Michael Douglas
Oh, that's
Who's not related to Michael Douglas.
or Buster Keaton.
Can you say your pick?
With the 220th pick in the NFL draft, the Buffalo Bills select quarterback Haynes King, Georgia Tech.
Oh, I like Haynes King.
Big,
Bet on him
strong.
quite a bit.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's why.
Yep. Hey, if you're in college and you won me money at some point, I'm a fan.
Physical traits guy. Big guy, runs, had 37 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beast. He's got a
Look,
little bit of that.
I'm going to say this. This is nothing personal against anybody. The quarterback room is both elite and weak on the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I look at it. It is elite at the top. There is nobody there you're saving space for unless it's, it's just like you got guys, you got Josh's buddies are always going to want to come. It's not a terrible idea to get a young guy on the roster.
At times, he reminded me a little bit of Taysom Hill.
Yeah, he has that feel to it.
Yeah.
But there are times also when I look and I go, I wouldn't mind if the Bills were stuck, that a guy like Taysom Hill was running the offense and they just used him as a freaking battering ram if Josh was out for half a game.
Yeah.
I think this guy could do it. I just, at some point, this probably isn't the year, but I'm like, I had Andre Fuller in there. So as a group, we're going to take him as another pick. But I like throwing it. He's going to be a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
Because,
So crossover, we had Andre Fuller, the corner, and we had Malik Benson, the wide receiver. Anyone else? I don't think so.
No, and then my pick at 220, Caden Wetjen.
Oh, your
the
guy.
Iowa wide receiver we talked about in the last one, was the nation's best returner. Had 3 punt return touchdowns last year at Iowa. He's like 5'9", 200 pounds.
Yeah.
What? You gonna critique anything else?
No. I just that sounds good.
I really wanted to get Toledo's Junior Vandross in my
You
mock
liked
draft.
him, yeah.
Luther. I think Luther just got put in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Look at that.
Yeah. Do you know who Luther Vandross is?
Luther Vandross? Yes.
You went to some concerts. You told us
last time.
God.
Dad.
Do I repeat my stories?
Did you not know you said that last podcast?
I know. I just was bringing it back up again in case, people didn't get a chance to hear me pontificate.
Yeah.
God, he died in 2005, Luther.
Comment in with what we've done enough now draft prep, and we will continue to do it with our draft shows as well coming up next week on Wednesday. The live show, we want to hear from you, but also first round ideas for you, and then somebody maybe you like in the later rounds. So like I said, we all kind of had Andre Fuller. Is there somebody else that intrigues you or piques your interest later round that you're going to have your interest on?
Yeah. Do we still... So doing this, I also thought when we had talked about it before that the Bills would trade back. We've talked about that a lot. But in doing this exercise, I feel like I'm kind of now would be surprised if they do, only because I just don't think there's as much buzz with quarterbacks and how things will look. Now, that's not to say that won't be the case, but I don't know. Do you feel that way as well?
Yeah, because I looked at it and I'm like, well, what are they getting for this? They're moving back. Think about the multiple moves they made. They end up with a late 3rd round pick, and it's Dwayne Carter in that deal. So let's see if Dwayne comes back. He has had injuries, hasn't really been able to do much, but you're adding a pick. Sometimes I think because they have needs at edge, they have needs at defensive tackle, they have needs at linebacker, they have needs at like safety. Like I don't think they would take a safety in the first. There's a few players I really like there, but
if you went best overall, I could see them doing that.
Yeah. But at the same time, you look at it and say, man, I just feel like they're going to pick 26th. And then it's like, all these guys are coming off the board. I think he's going to get antsy sitting there at 91. And that's a cheaper move to move up. Both of us had him moving up there. I think that's a cheaper move to make.
Yeah.
If that player drops and then you're sitting there going, let's go get him.
I do think, I forgot what I was going to say. Good podcasting.
No, I did have a player. It's funny. You guys talked about a lot of the players we like. Jacob Rodriguez, as the linebacker from Texas Tech. Can you find a way to get into the second, move up in the third if he's still on the board after the second round, all those things. Julian Neal is another corner that I like from Arkansas. He's the one that said when he was asked, what does he want teams to know about him? He said he's willing to die on the field.
Yeah.
He had a top 30 visit with Buffalo.
Yeah. Okay, don't take it that way. It's
no, I know. I just don't.
But there were so many cliche answers that we talked about time and time again. I'm versatile. I can play all over the field. I can do everything. This guy wants teams to know he's willing to put his life on the line.
Did anyone say, "Send me the playbook now"?
No.
Oh, don't do that.
I'm just saying.
Oh, like
sometimes
when Kyer was like, put the playbook on the plane.
Yeah.
He just signed with somebody.
Kansas City.
Yeah, the Chiefs.
God, if he's good there,
that would hurt.
Oh.
I'm not rooting against him. I'm
No.
rooting against the
He was
Chiefs.
a very nice man.
Nice, good.
Yeah.
Sweats a lot.
Yeah.
That was
Insane.
him telling us that. It was
That was
hilarious.
insane.
He and his
Training camp. Did
wife
he have
were
to like
saying-
change?
He was like, I
shoes,
just sweat.
cleats.
I go into yoga classes. I sweat all over.
And he
the
said he
floor.
had to put towels around him when he would do hot yoga
Yeah.
classes because he would sweat so much.
But in fairness to him,
Oof.
because he's a worker, it could hit for him at a certain point.
I hope he finds
yeah,
a spot, a role on a team.
yeah, just not
Because
the
he did
Chiefs.
everything. Like I said, you talk about the difference of with at times Keon and what Kyer, like you talk about late round or early picks that the Bills have swung on and missed. And like Kyer did everything right off the field, prepared, answered all the questions, was steady as they come off the field, just didn't have it on the field. And now you kind of have the opposite with Keon. So
Yeah.
You hope that he's figuring it out. But
Yeah.
yeah. Honestly, I give Kyer a lot of credit because after some really tough games, when we would go in the locker room, he would talk to us. And
London.
that's a tough spot to be in, but he always was a professional about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
So.
tough. All right. Well, plenty more coverage as the NFL draft. I mean, we're doing this on Thursday. We're releasing
it's
this?
Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
no,
that's
are we
the-
releasing this on Thursday?
Yes.
Okay. So a week from today
So it's the way time works.
is yes. Also,
Maybe I'll
you
release it
definitely
today.
said offensive and not defensive. So we're going to look back at the tape.
I said I got defensive.
No, you said you got offensive.
I have it marked. I'm gonna.
We're going to check it. We're going to check the tape.
And the funny thing is that I edit it, so even if I didn't say it, I can change it.
That's
Diabolical. Don't try to spell that
No.
one.
you're you're in timeout. Okay, thank you for joining us here on Buffalo Plus for Mike Catalana.
I got
and Dan
diabolical.
Fates. I'm Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share what?
DIABOLICIAL.
What?
You
You
like,
were
you were
so
driving down the
close.
road and then you just went right off the cliff.
That actually makes me mad. You were so close. Are you doing this on purpose?
No, DIABOLICIAL.
Yes. DIABOLICAL. You added an extra
No,
I
I
in
added an
there,
I. Yep. Just throwing letters on places.
which that was diabolical.
Still better than your mock draft.
Guess who?
Yeah,
Guess who
hey.
needed names?
Yeah.
I didn't need names. Probably could have.
Yeah, maybe.
That's probably more accurate.
And the Bills take another linebacker.
Good work, Kuiper.
Oh, thank you. All right, that'll wrap up. I don't know. Please comment in, guys that you like, who you think the Bills are going to pick in the first round, what you think they're going to do in the first round, all that great stuff. For Mike and Dan, I'm Jenna. We'll catch you next time here on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel, the podcast. Woo!
Buffalo Plus.